Hey GQ, it's John Mulaney. I'm gonna go undercover on the internet and look at stuff. It's actually me. It's me, for real. This is me doing this. Let's see, this is from Reddit. The kid John talks to in Baby J, was the kid hired? John did the same joke at the show in my city, and ever since I've seen the recorded version, I've been wondering, did he do that joke at every show? If so, how could he be sure the kid was going to be at every venue? Okay, so the last stand-up special I did called Baby J, there was a young boy named Henry in the audience. Henry was not hired. Henry was, like Pinocchio before him, a real-life boy. Henry was actually in the audience, and I talked to him, and that ended up in the film of the special. At other stops along that tour, there were often children, and often children under the age of 10. There was once a baby. It was often weird to go through 90 minutes of very dark personal stories while looking into the eyes of a fourth grader, so I would call it out at the beginning. I met a lot of kids on my Drug Stories tour. It's just a fact. If you had to choose a favorite special, what is your favorite John Mulaney special and why? Okay, so this is a question for other people other than me. Now, what's interesting about this question is that favorite is spelled with a U, and that means that the person is not from America. They are from Great Britain. And as an Irishman, I will not answer your question. How about one of these guys, parentheses, John Mulaney / Pete Davidson as Plastic Man? I know who Pete and I are, and I don't know what the rest of that means. Is Plastic Man a DC comic? If you know the answer, call my personal phone. It'd be a money thing. Honestly, I can answer for Pete as well. It'd be a money thing. Apparently these movies pay a lot, these action hero things, but that is also changing in today's ever-evolving media landscape. Subreddit, Big Mouth. Which character is most like yourself? This person answered, I think I'm most like Andrew Glauberman. I would say I'm most like Andrew Glauberman as well, since I have the same voice as him. A decent amount of his exploits were based off things I did when I was a younger man. And that's all I'll say. Richard Kind says John told him there might be another season of Everybody's in LA, but in a different city. He said, well, we might be doing it again. I don't think I ever told Richard Kind we'd be doing it in a different city. Recently, when I saw him, said, hey, if you do more Everybody's in LA and you want to replace me, I won't be offended. And I was like, one, I don't want to replace you. And two, of course you would be offended. No one would be more offended than Richard Kind if he was replaced from Everybody's in LA. Sweet man. I'd go to any city in the union with Mr. Richard Kind. Why do millennials find John Mulaney funny? From a confused Zoomer. They don't all. I've certainly stood in front of some who don't. I say different names of movies and things that millennials know, and they go, I remember that, and I go, of course you do. It's a trick, using these references to get laughs out of you. They find me funny because they found me funny in their 20s, and they want to still feel young. Next, Instagram. I don't know why it's weird that John Mulaney is wearing Nike. I feel like he should be wearing grandpa clothes, which is to say no brand flannels and corduroy pants. Well, smart guy, I'll have you know that that is not how I dress. So I understand why you think I would be wearing no brand clothing like an elderly man. I do own some items by Nike and even Reebok. I absolutely agree with this person. Whenever I'm wearing a Nike shirt like that, I feel weird too. I should be one of those people you see at the gym who's just like walking slowly on the treadmill, wearing mainly Carhartt. How the fuck are you sitting like that? I am able to sit like that because I have hip dysplasia, like many dogs, and I am able to sit completely lotus with my legs folded over each other. I actually have a tear in my right hip because my hip bone is so weirdly shaped. And I go to PT, but they told me it's not gonna work and that I am gonna need hip replacement surgery. So who's a grandpa now? Wikipedia, the encyclopedia of incels. From watching the lifestyle of the character Ricky Ricardo on the program I Love Lucy, Mulaney knew he wanted to go into show business at age 5. That is absolutely true. I liked that Ricky Ricardo sat around the house, looked at a magazine for some of the day, smoked cigarettes, and then went to the club at night and did his job in show business. I thought that is absolutely the best lifestyle. And I live that now, except I don't smoke cigarettes anymore because a man hypnotized me in Santa Monica. At age 7, Mulaney was a member of the Chicago children's-based sketch group, the Rugrats. Because of this, Mulaney had an opportunity to audition for the role of Kevin in the film Home Alone, but his parents declined. I was offered to audition for the role of Kevin in Home Alone. My mom thought about it for a little while. I was getting a booster shot, and my mom waited until we were at the pediatrician and then told me, your dad and I have talked and we're not gonna let you audition for that movie. And then I got a booster shot. I think it was like, maybe if we put the two bad things at once, they'll neutralize each other. But I remember both, and I disliked them both. I do wanna say, for the record, there is no better performance in the 1990s than Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, and he deserved an Oscar nomination and an Oscar for that role. If you have a Macaulay Culkin story, call me at my personal number. After graduating from Georgetown in 2004, Mulaney moved to New York City with ambitions of a career in comedy. Yeah. And was hired as an assistant at Comedy Central. After a year, he pitched the idea for a parody of I Love the 80s called I Love the 30s, which he developed with fellow comedian Nick Kroll. True. I Love the 30s was a parody of I Love the 80s in that we were talking in a flippant way about pop culture stories, but of the 30s, which had more weight to them than the type of thing they talked on I Love the 80s. One of them was about the Lindbergh baby, and we talked about it like you would Cola Wars in the 80s, like just kind of flippantly. And my Nana called me and said, I was alive for the Lindbergh baby kidnapping. It was not funny. That baby died. These are not things you should joke about. I made it sound like that was a conversation, but it was a voicemail, and I never called her back. Okay, these are YouTube comments. Can someone explain DTLA to a person not from there? Downtown LA is the downtown part of Los Angeles. Often, downtown means the center of where things are. This is not the case in LA. The downtown is a scary wasteland that we all avoid. As I joked on the show, a lot of people wonder what happened to New York in the 70s. It moved to downtown LA. Why did they decide to turn the concept of a man ordering lobster in a diner into a Les Mis parody? I don't know. Am I questioning it? Hell nah. Okay, Sherlock 3134, and I'm not being condescending by calling them Sherlock. That is their screen name. I also don't remember how it became a Les Mis parody. Colin Jost and I were talking on a Monday in 2009 about how long some diner menus are and how they always offer like Thanksgiving dinner and a lobster. We talked about writing a sketch for that week's host where someone would order the one lobster that they have at a diner. After read-throughs, there's always a big bulletin board with every sketch, and you move them over into the show's running order as you plan that week's episode. And I remember Lobster Diner wasn't even on the board. There was a card that said Lobster Diner that was laying on the floor. So no one ever said we hate this, but it was greeted with a blizzard of indifference. When I came back to host in 2018, that Monday I ran into Colin in the hall and he said, Lobster Diner? And I said, absolutely. Okay, these are from Quora. What is John Mulaney's weakness? I don't have any well-publicized faults. What's one thing I have trouble resisting? Can't think. I have had my ups and downs with various dependencies. I would say I don't understand what happens at a four-way stop sign at all. I normally just stare forward and hope everyone else leaves so that I can do my thing. No part of it makes sense to me. The waving, I panic. How does John Mulaney come up with his stand-up comedy material? Slowly. What is the best Steely Dan song? The best Steely Dan song is Sign In Stranger. Post. These are questions from X, formerly Twitter. Why couldn't John Mulaney host the Oscars? I'm busy. There's really no other way to put it. Bert Vonnegut asks, why is John Mulaney in The Bear the most Chicago thing ever? I am from Chicago, and the show The Bear is set in Chicago. My Chicago experience was not filled with many small businesses that become Michelin star restaurants. A lot of people ask me for restaurant recommendations in Chicago because it is such a great town for restaurants, but like I grew up there, so I ate at home. We didn't go out to places. Sometimes I'd have snacks in a car. If Spider-Ham was bitten by a radioactive pig, is it really cannibalism? No, but I don't think anyone's saying it is. Everything I know about Spider-Ham is the lines I say in the movie. I didn't understand what it was when I arrived, and I don't understand now. They wouldn't even tell me what it was called. I showed up and it had like a code name, and they were dancing around that it was a Spider-Man related movie. I was like, I don't give a shit. Like, don't tell anyone. Who am I gonna tell? Okay, that's it. I've answered enough of your questions. Bah, okay, that's it, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. I don't wanna do this anymore. I think we all learned very little. I know less about myself now than I did at the beginning, so I'm signing off.